Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of our Thursday edition Q&A. All right, I'm your host, John Waters. So now we're going to be joined by Michelle Gibson. All right, so this woman is incredible. All right, very, very incredible. As I mentioned before, she was the kickstart, if you want to call it that, for the idea of Three Pillars being formed. All right, so I mean, I was in a completely different headspace at that point in time. I was trying to figure out which way to go, what it is I wanted to do, and I just knew I wasn't happy where I was, and I knew something needed to change. And I'm just extremely blessed and fortunate to have her in my life. It's not only a resource, but also as a family member. All right. So we're going to give her a couple minutes to actually get situated. She's not actually back here yet. I know she has some other things going on, and it was going to be really cutting it close in terms of her schedule working out with mine. All right. So again, in the meantime, I'll just give a little bit more background information about, her and my relationship with her. So she's actually my aunt. All right. She's definitely my aunt. So I don't know if motivation is something that can be, genetically passed down, but definitely got some of the same juice she got. But hers is just on a whole different level. Like if she's 90 proof, I'm about, 60. Like she's up there, man. So if you guys enjoy her online, it's 10 times better in real life. 10 times better in real life. All right. So yeah, that's just been my experience with her. And just her walking into the room changes the whole atmosphere. So I'm extremely excited. And so I don't mind being patient and waiting and giving her the opportunity to actually log in and get situated. So I have to give the usual disclaimer. If you guys are tuning in from, well, I only presented it to the Facebook group, but if you didn't give StreamYard permission, I won't be able to see your name if you leave a comment. It'll pop up as Facebook user. And sometimes StreamYard is just strange and it won't even show me your name if you do give it permission. Yeah. But I will go back afterwards once I leave out of this program and go back and hit on everyone's comment and make sure I give you guys, the right amount of attention because I definitely appreciate you giving me yours. All right. We're still waiting. So there is a little bit of a time difference. She's in Tennessee. I think she's in Tennessee. I know she has some other things going on this week. So again, like I said, we're just really trying to make this work. We'll continue to wait though, and I appreciate you guys being patient. Today's topic is going to be about, being purposefully driven. And I know I did a podcast on that probably early on, like late last year, if I had to guess, somewhere around that time frame. And I gave my 2 cents on that, and I was just speaking from my experience and how important having an actual purpose has been in pulling me in the direction that I wish to go. And my computer's doing some kind of crazy stuff right now. But anyway, so yeah, if you haven't given StreamYard permission, I won't be able to see your comments. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you are watching this live, please feel free to drop down in the comments right now. Let me know you're here. A simple hello would do just fine. Good evening, Facebook user. But yeah, so still waiting. But it'll definitely be worth the wait. So like I said, I'm more than willing to be patient. If you see me looking down, I'm just simply checking to see if I've gotten any messages from her. Hey, Facebook user. All right, awesome. Thank you guys so much for, letting me know you're there. I appreciate it. Let's see what we got. I think it's just Facebook letting me know that you guys are commenting. All right. So yeah, we're still waiting. So again, the topic was going to be about being purposely driven. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to steal her thunder nor go too far. But I'm not really sure what the outcome of this is going to be, seeing as she may or may not be caught up doing whatever it is she's doing. She has a website. I'll go ahead and pull it up for you guys. And since we have a few minutes, if you want to go ahead and pop that open in one of your tabs and go back to it at the end, please feel free. So I've definitely been, scoping it out, going and checking it out. And the reviews that I read don't lie. Like I said, when I was at the beginning stages of everything, Three Pillars wasn't even a thought. It was before I actually did the handwritten drawing of what Three Pillars could be. Like it was well before that. It was just something being whispered in my ears. You know what I mean? And when I hit my rougher patch, let's call it a rougher patch, I was fortunate enough to have that memory to reflect on. And I just remember sitting there like, oh, shoot, let me go pull up my notes that I did with Michelle. And I pulled it up. And I just started, concentrating on it and trying to really figure out what it is I wanted to do. And not only what I could do, but how I could be useful. Because when it's all said and done, I mean, I believe we live to serve. And so I was trying to figure out how can I put myself in the best position to be valuable to other people. And that's how I went about finding my purpose and figuring out what gifts and talents I had that could be useful to others. All right. So personal training is just the outlet that I found to be most readily available to me, since it was already something I had been trained on. But I just did a little bit of reflecting, thinking about, my time in the Marine Corps and my time before that, and all the different times I've been engaged with other people. I gauged where I felt the most alive, where I felt I had the most strength, where I felt I was able to provide the most value. And it wasn't really, at the places I thought it would be. It wasn't when I was in charge, of X amount of Marines or anything like that. It was when I was freaking helping somebody work out. It was when I was having a heart to heart with someone, just being a listening ear for them. It was when, someone would call me freaking at a random hour because they done did something crazy and put themselves in a bad position. This is when I was platoon sergeant. They called me and they're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it back in time in the morning for formation unless you come get me. That's not the best call to get, when it's 2:00 in the morning and you got to be at work at 5, but you care, those are your people. And so you get up, you go get them, you let them know they got to pay for it, not with money, but they're going to pay with some tears and some sweat later. But is better than the alternative. But that's when I realized what my strength was, my purpose. I help people. I feel my best when I'm able to provide something for someone else. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we came here. That's kind of what made 3 pillars make sense. That's where the whole mind, body, and spirit thing started to, gain strength. I was talking to someone earlier, or maybe it was yesterday, but I was talking to someone earlier and I was just reflecting on, like what 3 pillars actually stands for and like how it makes sense for me. And like, I love working out. I love it. I love training. I love pushing myself to the edge, whatever that may be for that particular event, and seeing what it is I'm made of. But beyond that, what I realized is when I became more determined in the gym, when I became stronger, when I became someone who was able to not only notice my own progress, but help other people achieve theirs, I noticed there was, similarities between what I did in the gym to reach my goals and help others reach theirs, and what I had to do in, outside of the gym in my regular life to sit back and really sit back so I could step forward and reach towards whatever it is I was actually aiming for. And I realized that the lessons I learned in the gym were very applicable, to real life. And so that's why when I do the podcast, I have so much to say. I mean, because all of us have life experiences. I know I'm kind of running right now. All of us have life experiences. All of us have things that we can draw on and draw from and look back on and be like, yo, there was a point in time when I was in this situation and I had to really dig deep. I had to, be patient. I had to focus. I had to help someone else get where they wanted to go. And by default, it helped me get where I wanted to go too. I believe in things going full circle. You may want to call it karma or whatever you want to call it. But for me, what's been the biggest thing going along with the idea of walking in my purpose is when I help other people get what they want, somehow or another, it ends up playing out that I get more of what I want to. And yeah, that's just been major for me. And so I know one of the podcasts I talked about purpose and purpose being attached to, something outside of yourself. So here recently, just a few seconds ago, I mentioned how I attached my purpose to being able to help other people. But then not only that, I took it one step further. And for me personally, it became not only about helping the people that I get the opportunity to work with, because I know that's a blessing in itself. It became more about providing impact that could be far reaching past my time. That excites me more than anything. That's what I've attached my purpose to. I'm pretty sure I was just telling someone, maybe it was today, that the money and the things that may come from whatever it is I achieve aren't the things that necessarily excite me. It's the impact that I get to have on the people in my family, the people who saw me grow up and the people who will grow up after me, hopefully providing a way and just, an example that we don't have to do what we've always seen. We have the opportunity to do something different. And so that's what I've attached my purpose to. That is the thing that keeps me moving. That is the reason why initially when I started doing all this Facebook stuff, I was putting all these like intimidating, like aggressive, like if you're not going hard, you're not doing enough, you know. That was more for me than it was for anyone else. That was my reminder to keep going. That was my reminder that, you know, if I don't show up, I'm not only screwing myself, I'm screwing everyone who follows me. You know, and maybe that's something you can apply to yourself too. I have no idea what it is you're working on, nor do I really have any idea who's really listening. But I'm sure if you look at yourself and you look at your life, and if you look closely, there are people watching you, whether they admit it or not. There's someone looking at you as an example, you know, and again, attaching our purpose to things outside of ourselves. If you can't keep going for you, keep going for them. So yeah, that's a little bit more of my 2 cents. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, so I'm really not sure what's going on. Like I said, I know she had another mastermind that she was attending to this evening, and I also know she's helping a loved one in another situation. And so maybe there's some kind of circumstance that has, arisen that's preventing her from actually attending. She's an awesome woman. She wouldn't just not show up if it was something she could control. So I have no doubts about that. But yeah, again, if you get the opportunity, check out her website. And I mean, I could keep going on and on about this whole purpose thing because for me, it's major. For me, it's very major. Like I was thinking yesterday morning on my way to an appointment, I was very fortunate. Some of you are about to hear this and probably think that's not something to be very fortunate or considered fortunate. But I recently got a new client, and they want to be at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And so for me, that means waking up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And let me tell you, that has not been the easiest thing. Like I don't enjoy waking up there early. It's not on my list of favorites. But when I wake up there early and I realize that it's a blessing that I'm waking up there early. Not only am I alive, but I'm alive and doing what I love. And I feel like that kind of feeling only comes when you're walking in your purpose, when you're actually doing what you've been called to do. I was listening to Big Sean. Did I write it on the board? I didn't write it on the board. But he was pretty much talking about if you wake up every day and you're able to do what you love during your free time, you're already living your dream. And I was thinking, like, I am definitely living mine. I am definitely living it. I mean, I imagined this life, freaking now I could say years ago. I imagined this life. Hey, I did enough talking and I bought us some time. All right, let's see. Let's get her on here.
Wait,
Hey,
hey.
I was running out of juice. I'm glad you came in.
I am so sorry to your audience. We're on different time schedules, but I'm coming to your time zone, and as you can see, I'm driving, so I totally thought I had 50 extra minutes. I was so excited to get there and like get ready and set up. So I'm gonna turn on some lights and see if there we go, make my lighting better. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna plug in here so that I can do that. So, okay, thank you, sir, for having me. And again, I apologize for my tardiness. That is so not like me for something like this.
I know. I told everybody that already.
Thank you for covering me. Thank you for
Yeah,
covering
no
me.
problem. All right.
Yes.
So I didn't go too in detail about who you are and what you do. I was hoping that you would. Oh, I think we just lost her again. We'll give her a couple seconds to reconnect. Whew. All right. Let's go ahead and get this off the screen. All right. Let's try this again. Hey.
There we go. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hold on. There you go. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can now. I can now. I'm sorry. I hope my coverage lasts. If we have to do a part two, I owe you a part two. So let me just get that out the way right now. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
So okay. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so I didn't really do too much of telling everyone who you are and what you do. I was waiting for you so you could do that. So if you wouldn't mind giving people, a little bit of your background and who you are.
Awesome. So I am Michelle Gibson, and I am a speaker, trainer, coach, and I help people connect to their purpose, people connect to other people, and people connect to profit. And I do that by helping them to discover more of who they are and rediscover who they are meant to be, and then help them figure out, how do I take that and then turn that into something that helps me be greater in the world. And so we walk through challenges. And so I do a lot of coaching individually. I do a lot of speaking around the country. And then I have a movement called the Unstoppable Connection. And in that connection, it is really empowering women to shine each other's crowns. But it goes to the kings in the world, because my husband also handles the Unstoppable Men. And so we just really try to help each other see that together our superpower is connection, but our kryptonite is competition. So I'm excited
Mhm.
to be here, and thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for showing up. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right. So if you could, you gave us a little bit about what it is you do. Could you explain to people your journey and how you've actually gotten to where you are?
Absolutely. So I started out, I'll go back to, I've always been extremely talkative, right? You ask anybody in the family, they know I am the one, right? The party doesn't start till I get there. No, I'm just playing. But seriously, I love people and I love to connect. And so at a very young age, I knew I was supposed to do something with it. I just didn't understand what that was. And so around about the age of 17, I entered into a pageant called the Miss Black Cincinnati pageant, and I ended up becoming Miss Black Cincinnati 19, and I won't tell you, but I will. 1989, believe it or not. And after I won, I had to go speak at this church. And I was so nervous, and I had all my little cue cards in order. And right before I go up, I drop all the cards.
Ooh.
And I'm picking them up. I'm going to the stage because that also is a part of my personality. And so I drop everything. I'm picking them all up and I get them out of order. But I
Mm.
still go up there. I give this speech. And let me tell you, it was the absolute worst speech I had ever given in my life. But it lit the fire that I was like, I've got to do this again. I don't know how, but I need to do this again. I love this. And so I began to pursue, how can I do this as a profession? But I didn't know it was a thing at the time. So I went ahead and went to college. I majored in accounting, believe it or not. And that's like pushing numbers and more quiet and reserved. But I
Right.
also double majored in business, which I really love, the marketing and the management aspect of it. And so when I got out of college, I had been working for an accounting firm for a long time. It was my internship. And it was like, I couldn't do anything with that. It was not who I was. So I went to graduate school and I majored in adult and higher education. And when I came out of there, still didn't really know how to put all the pieces together, because I believe God was still working my purpose in me. And so I ended up going to work for State Farm Insurance. First corporate job I'd ever had. And when I did it, actually, I stayed there for 5 years. And what threw me out of there was purpose called again, because I knew that there was more for my life. And so when I did that, I actually, give me just a sec. Sorry, we're off. So sorry, travel. Sorry, please forgive me.
You
So
good?
when I did that, I actually had an incident in the fifth year where I had a claim where a family died. It was a father and a mother. A young man was coming home from the University of Dayton, crossed over the lanes, and actually hit this father and mother head on. And the father and mother had been the same age as my parents at the time, and they had the same amount of children that my parents had. And it hit me so hard. And all I knew is that I could only give them the money. I could only take the claim and give them all the money that was in the claim, but I could not bring those parents back. And it hit me so hard. I knew that there was more for my life. Purpose started calling again. And I said, I have to get out of here. And so I ended up going over to Northern Kentucky University, working in the College of Business as an advisor and working in the Career Center over there too, and started teaching some basic classes and things. And that was when the light grew. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. In my capacity of advisor and teaching, I was actually speaking. And then it just hit. And in between time, people would ask me to come speak all the time. So I enjoyed it, but I never really had a solid thought process behind it. So fast forward, I moved to Tennessee, went to another university, same thing would happen. People all over the city would call me. I started speaking for a company called Monster Making Account. And then if you ever saw the Monster Job Searching,
Mhm.
so it was that company. I
Okay.
contracted with them, and then I contracted with another company called Rachel's Challenge, and then I also started my own company and my brand, Pursuing Purpose Passionately. How do you pursue it? Having the right people around you, having the right team and perspective, and all of that. And so then fast forward, we're back to where I am now, which is this whole teaching and empowering women to be whom they are supposed to be, and kings to be who they are supposed to be to take their rightful place.
Awesome. Awesome. So I went ahead and told everyone about like my encounter with you, and I don't know if you even remember. It was a few years ago, and we first sat down and we talked about like three pillars. But I don't even know if it was called three pillars yet. And you were
Mm-hmm.
sitting brainstorming with me and telling me all these different things.
Yes,
And immediately, I didn't take any action right then. It had to serenade. It took
yes.
me a little while for it to actually click. I just know I wouldn't be where I am today had you not spoken to me and like breathed that life into me at that point in time.
Wow, I really, really appreciate you saying that because a part of who I am and what I do is um, I'm like a purpose pusher, and I am able to I think just by the grace of God, I'm able to take an idea that you tell me, and as you're talking to me, downloads just come, and I can just shoot them out, and I hardly ever remember the complexity of what I'm saying. So I'm always saying, write this down. We might not
Right.
get it, but that's a part of it, and I think that connection, that is with every single person. We have to have that type of connection with other people. Find out what your thing is. Like, I know that's my thing, and because I shared my thing with you, you were able to build your thing, and now look what you're doing. You're helping other people build their thing, and that's
Right.
their mind, body, and their souls.
Right.
Yeah,
Hmm. Full circle.
exactly. Exactly.
All right. So could you tell us a little bit more about the Unstoppable Connection and its mission?
Absolutely. So, the mission of the Unstoppable Connection is to make sure that people who are connected to us understand that if you are going to be unstoppable, it requires you to realize that you already are. Like, you
Mm.
are created to be unstoppable. It is in our DNA. The only thing that stops us is when we experience life. Because think about this: we could wake up one day on Monday morning. You have all your goals, no distractions. Things are going so good, right? And then all of a sudden, you're the bomb on Monday because you just did the thing. But then Tuesday and Wednesday comes, life happens, you get the phone call, something doesn't go right at work, something happens in the family, and you begin to look at other people, right? Whether on
Right.
social media or around you, and you're like, I'm supposed to be further than I am right now, or whatever it is. We've all done it, right? And yet, that right there causes us to feel like we are not unstoppable. And what it does is it causes us to get stuck. And so what I have created is I created a book called Get Unstuck and Become Unstoppable. Because the first thing you have to do is realize that we all get stuck, but the quicker we can understand that there are strategies in which we use to become unstuck and get back to our unstoppable self, that's when we win.
Mm.
Everybody has it in us to win. And so that's what we really teach.
Awesome. 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 So, uh, can you tell us more about how someone would, before they even get to the point where they're starting to feel stuck, and like they're unstoppable, how would they go about defining what their gift is and what their talent is? Like, how do they know what it is they should be
So
bringing
that
and doing?
Okay, that's good. So the first thing I think is important, and let me know too. It Can you still hear me very clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, great. So I think the first thing that a person has to do is to do an evaluation and an assessment of what could you do, or what do you love to do that you would wake up doing every single morning, even if you didn't get paid for it. And you've heard that before, right? But one of the ways that you find that out is, I believe it's important to sit down and go back to the first time when you were a kid, that you can remember being happy, excited, really being energized and being good at something. And then begin to draw the dots from that moment to your current life as to when did I love that? When was I good at that? And what stopped me from doing it now? Like, what kicked me out of that place? and then begin to decide, what can I do with that now? How do I revive that? How do I bring that back into my life where I am actually able to make something out of it? It is the thing that burns inside of you so brightly that no one can turn you away from it, even if they tell you, you're not good at that. You come from this family, you're not supposed to be able to do that. You don't even have the skill for that. Wait a minute, I've never seen anybody do that. It's every negative thing that you may hear. If you still have the fire within you that says, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, you know that's a part of your purpose.
Mm.
And you don't even have to know how you use it yet. It's just important to begin to identify. So I think it's important to like write and journal all the things that you love. And I always tell my clients this: once you journal your top 5 things that you love, I want you to go back and put them back in order, numbers 1 through 5, meaning what's the one thing you would do first and then followed by the 5th one, because I believe that we're multi-dimensional. And so just because you are involved in one thing today, and this is where you really thought you were, who knows? There are other parts of your purpose that are supposed to be revealed later. For instance,
Mm.
I'm a speaker and singer and all that. And my husband and I, we own a production company called Zone 8 Productions. We never wanted to do that. It was never, I was a singer, right? I didn't want to do this, but because I had a skill set that could bring people together, it caused me to be recognized or noticed on a national circuit. So, I work with different shows like, gospel shows like the Stellar Awards. I've done the Dove Awards, Country Music Awards. It's done some stuff with BET and all this. And so what happened was I didn't go looking for all of that. It came looking for me because I was available with a gift and began to
Mm.
hone that gift. And then when you fast forward now, like the pandemic created some opportunity where, at my church, we didn't have everything set up for growing an online presence. But because I had skill and a heart, it was like I just walked in to help. And now we have a whole thing. Like I'm doing media and videos. I didn't ask for that. But what happens is when you are available with your purpose, it will open doors for you that you didn't see.
Mm. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So once we decide or we define what our purpose is and we're able to actually identify what our gifts and talents are, how do we start to develop those things?
Then you find out what's needed to be successful in it. Right. So
Okay.
I believe education is so important, but I'm not necessarily talking about college. I'm talking about, and I do, I'm a strong proponent for college. Okay. So if that's where you need to go, fine. But you know what? There are also other things like there are people. Get a mentor. It is so important that you find people in your field that are doing it at a higher level than you. And then when you get a mentor, what usually happens is that mentees want to come to the mentor and say, hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, will you help me get to the next level? But what they don't realize, and this is in career building too, what people don't realize is that when you have a mentor, it has to be a two-way street. Think about it. Their time is precious and valuable. And the one thing that you can do is look for a mentor who's doing it bigger than you, but look for a problem that they have that you can solve. And so
Mm.
when you start making those connections and you start calling, it's like, hey, um, I saw that I met you at such and such. I saw that you're interested in such and such. And I just found out blah, blah, blah. Could I possibly meet with you to share with you a little bit more about it and how I can help you? And then when you get them there, and it's like, hey, I really am inspired by you, respect you, would love to see if there's an opportunity that you may be able to mentor me and work with me. A lot of mentors now are saying, well, how do you want me to mentor you? Because they don't have a lot of time. So they're
Right.
looking for you to then tell them what that might look like. You have to have that already mapped out. It's a whole new game now, right? So
Right.
that would be one thing. And then guess what? Another place to get amazing information about what you're interested in. My husband tells me all the time. YouTube University. And that is how I learned, like recently this last year, learning this program that I use for editing and creating videos. And I knew nothing about it. But I went online to YouTube University and took a 20-minute course just to learn pieces of it. And then I go back. and keep updating my knowledge base. And of course, because I live with a man who actually knows all of this stuff, I get to pick his brain, right? I
Right.
won't say for free because I still have to cook for him and everything, but you know, it comes with benefits.
Right.
So get where you can to be exposed to the knowledge that you need. And then put yourself in position to be recognized. How do you do that? You connect with other people like what we're doing right here. It's like lending your knowledge out to other people now so that
Right.
you can be exposed in that way too. And then it's getting yourself in position by investing in yourself, going to conferences that deal with, let's say for you, right? Going to conferences that deal with trainers for the latest and the greatest and getting trained on everything that you can so you can offer more to the people that you feel like you're called to, right? To help.
Right.
And if you could do that, it's like when you're ready, the doors will come open. Does
Mm.
you know the saying that says when the student is ready, the teacher appears?
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. Nancy Pelosi, whether whatever side you are on the political spectrum, she has an amazing quote that I love that I've used for years. And she shared this with her children. She said, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. When you prepare for what it is that you want, you end up being positioned to excel, to prosper. But when you don't, you have a poor performance.
Mm.
And digging yourself out of the hole of poor performance because it happens, right? All of us have, and everybody's not hitting threes every single day. So it
Right.
happens. But you've got to be able to take the assessment and say, you know what? I messed up on this one. But now let me have a bounce back spirit. What do I do now? Because it's easy to sit and wallow in the seat of sorrow, regret, and self pity. But it is harder to get back up and say, I will not be defeated. And the way you do that is when we circle right back around. I do it even if I wasn't getting paid. I have a great mentor and I go back to that person, right? Yeah. Oh, look, I heard that. You heard that quote from Les Brown? Yes, I love him too. They all say the same. That's so true, right? They pull it from everywhere. And the point is, when you surround yourself with great people, you'll see those quotes. You'll see the same, like greatness surrounds itself with greatness. It repeats itself, and they share the same thing. And it goes back to that phrase: there is nothing new under the sun, right?
Right.
We're all create, even the stuff that's not created yet. The thought of it is still out there. We just haven't seen it yet. And every single one of us, we have something that hasn't been seen that we're supposed to create and put it here, but it's still not new, right? I know that's so wild to think because it's already here. It's waiting on somebody to just bring it up.
Right.
And
Thank
when we
you.
bring it up, it's like, I didn't think of that. And now it's something that's necessary.
Mm. Man, you're dropping a lot of bombs, aren't you?
Well, thank you. Thank you. I love this stuff. I hope it's helpful.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
So we spoke briefly about some habit forming tips potentially that people can start putting into practice. Do you have those?
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, the first thing I want you to do is think on this. The first habit is to build a better boat if your dream boat sets sail without you. That's a long one, but
Mm.
let me explain it. Build a better boat if your dream boat sets sail without you. That basically means this. As you're going along this life and you're really trying to discover your purpose, live in your purpose, walk in it, and suppose you thought, oh, I'm good at this, I'm supposed to do this, and you start going down that road, and all of a sudden, something shifts, like a pandemic that causes you to shift what you thought you were supposed to do. It can be demoralizing to have to pivot if you are not ready to pivot or don't know how to pivot. Building a better boat means, okay, that my dream boat, it set sail without me. It's not coming back. There's so many things in 2020 that we used to do that are not coming back, but there are better boats to build for the season that we're in.
Mm.
And that's what it pretty much means. And I always tell the story that when I first moved to Tennessee, it's been 17 years. Everybody back home was like, "Oh yeah, you gotta go to it's Music City. You're gonna go down there. You're gonna record music and this, that, and the other." And I even thought we were gonna come down here and do it too. Yes, pivot. Yes. I thought we were gonna do it too. But if I had come down here to Nashville and started singing and performing and creating, I had no idea about the business aspect. And so I would have probably gotten taken advantage of. I kind of learned a whole lot. My husband and I can't even take half the credit, but we learned about all this stuff. And then thus opened the door for us to create this production company. It was a better boat because I realized one thing. I always used to say, if I get out there and I start singing and something picks up, I don't want to be, I love Kurt Franklin. Okay. So I was like, I don't want to be as famous as Kurt Franklin. I just want to be as influential and as wealthy. Because I
Right.
want to walk down the street and my children, they were little at the time. I want them to be able to walk down the street and nobody's accosting us, even though I love people. I want to have some family time, right? So that was a
Right.
big thing for me. Well, what happens is now when I'm working on these shows, I work with Kurt Franklin a lot. He knows me, calls me Michelle, but he doesn't know me, right? He
Right.
knows me because I perform a service behind the scenes to make sure that when I am in his presence, everything he needs to do goes well. My team works well for him. I love now, I didn't realize it, working behind the scenes. I don't want to be what they call on the chitlin circuit, like having to do shows all the time in order to stay relevant. That's not me
Right.
anymore. So what does that mean? A better boat had to be built because my dream boat sailed away. And I'd had that dream boat since I was 4 years old. So sometimes you got to pull away, and that's hard to do. So that's one habit. The second habit that I would tell you is that we've got to check our routines. Everybody needs to have a routine because routines help us to progress, help us to know where we are, and it helps us to continue to um, make change in our lives, right? But sometimes our routines can go rogue, and that means they no longer wake you up in the morning. They make you sad. Like, really, I remember when it was time for me to leave State Farm, I would get so sad having to go there. And at the time, like sometimes my husband would drive me to work and I would cry before I got out of the car because I just didn't want to go in there. And it wasn't the people, it was just I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And so then I'd get out of the car, put my game face on, go do the work, come home, glad to get home, right? My routine, it began to get rogue. And there's something you can do about that. I had this thing called the routine pie. And basically, what it is that you take your routine. Generally, there's 8 areas of our lives that we have a routine in. Like we have a wake up routine, we have a sleep routine, we have a workout routine, we have a eating routine, a work routine, a financial routine, mental and emotional health routine, and then a spiritual routine. All right. So you take all of those and you write each of those subjects in a circle pie, 8 piece of pie, right? A whole pie with 8 slices. And you put each one of those in it. When you put each one in it, you then write a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever it is. What is your routine like for that? So if it's your sleep routine, right? I just started reading Miracle Morning, and it's a book that kind of talks about how you change your morning to be more productive. So I started saying, okay, I was getting up at 6:30. I said I'm getting up at 6. My goal was to eventually get up at 5:30 so that I could do more. But I do a lot between 6:30 and 10. Like it's not the military, John. I do my fair share, okay? So the morning Miracle Morning talks about how you do this. And so for my morning routine now, like really it's I get up. I start every day off because I'm a person of faith. So I start everything day off with prayer and devotion. And then I get up and then I go to do my workout. Well, right before that, I'm working on investing and all this. So I study that or I study something else that I'm really interested in. And that's like by that time it's 8 o'clock. And so then I go work out at 9. And for 9, after 9, 10 o'clock, I go get dressed, right? Because I work from home, right? So I can set my hours. So I go
Right.
get dressed, I fix my breakfast, and then I head up to my office. So from 11 a.m. generally till about 8 p.m. Just depends. Some days I get off at 6. I then go to work, and that even has a routine. But what I just showed you was my morning routine. It excites me, but my evening routine, I'm in the process of changing that. Okay, because
Right.
I get off of work, and because I work for myself, sometimes I won't get off on time. And so then that pushes everything. I want to read at night. I want to just sit down and relax. Maybe I want to watch Netflix. But when I don't give myself time, I lose it. And the thing that I do is everybody needs to understand their TTWs, which are their total time wasters. And I know one of mine every single day is I'm a news junkie. And I mean, I go from left, right, middle, and end. I mean, it doesn't even matter. I just love to watch the news. And so I noticed that I will go on my phone and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and an hour has passed, an hour and a half. So where I said I was going to go to bed at such and such time to get up in order to get up fresh at 6, it doesn't happen. So that's a rogue routine. So what you do is take your 8 pieces of your routine, and you write down what is involved in each one of those slices, the steps involved in them that you do. And then you look at them and you decide, okay, which ones of these still excite me, like my morning routine does, my workout routine does, my cooking does. That self-care sucks. Okay. So then I take another piece of paper and I create another pie. And this time it has larger slices because it has fewer slices. Because
Mm.
the only thing that's inside of that one are all the routines that are rogue. And then I write what's rogue, and then I write how I'm going to change it. Now I have a roadmap that I can begin to start using to change those routines. And what I always suggest is don't do it all at one time. You need to, if you have four parts of your routine that you don't like, pick one for this month or one for this week. And once you get a good system going, then add another one. Because if you try to do all of them at the same time, it will be overwhelming. So I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with those two habits. Build a better boat and check your routines.
Awesome. Awesome.
This is
Awesome.
such an
Thank you. Thank you.
amazing interview. I had to stop, and I'm so sorry you're hearing they agree with me. The horns, can you hear the horns?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm at a gas station. That's the applause. Yes. I owe you a second interview. I will. I will give you a second one. Okay. That's like
All
more
right.
musical
Awesome.
than this.
Whew.
Woo.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming on, and you dropped a lot on us. Definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. You're very, very welcome. I'm grateful.
Awesome. And I went ahead and included your website in case people want to reach out to you.
They sure can, absolutely. And that website, when you get on there, there will be there's a little place where you can put your email there, and then we'll reach back out to you too. If you want more information from us, you can. We also have, if you want to follow me on Facebook, you can do that too, and on Instagram, under both my names. Meichelle Gibson. I mean, I have one name, but same name both places. If you are a lady and you want to join the connection because we're having fun out there, it's the Unstoppable Connection, and it's a private Facebook group.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll make sure I go back and put that in the comments.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to help you
Well,
held up at the gas station too long.
hey, that's all right. I owe this to you. So I'm so grateful for your audience for waiting. I'm so grateful for your grace for me tonight. And we will do this again if you will allow me, because it's been fun and I owe you.
All right. Awesome. I appreciate it. I'm going to hold you to
All right.
that one.
Please do. Please do.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Take it
All right.
easy.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Didn't want to keep her on too long. I know she had to get out of there. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I really hope you guys really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's all we got. I'll make sure I pass that on to her. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your attention. I really do appreciate it. And keep pushing. Your greatness awaits.